Welcome in to your favorite show, Views from the Stands. I'm your host, Stevie B, Steve Brennan, and I have, of course, my two favorite guys in the world. We got the GM, George Mike. How you feeling?
Feeling good, baby. Feeling good.
That's right. We got the holiday coming up. I know you're super excited about that, but I cannot forget we got my guy, Brandon BC. What's good, my man?
Not much. Just ready to celebrate this 4th of July. Just kick back, relax, and enjoy some time with the fam.
Nothing says freedom like talking a little sports on a Wednesday, you know?
America.
We have so much to get to on today's episode. We got NBA free agency and full court press. We're going to continue our series of breaking down divisions. This week, we're going to stay out west. We're going to go to the NFC West, where the San Francisco 49ers just got back from that Super Bowl out there. So be on the lookout for those boys. But before we get to that, we got to do a little bit of self-promotions. Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell them what you got?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Guys, if you're into sports gambling, I run a Telegram channel called The Degenerates, where we charge $5 a month to get you winnings from anywhere from $10 to $50 to $100 a day. So if you're into that and you want to get down with the get down, the link is at the bottom, or if not, just hit me up on one of my socials that you see up on the screen. Send me a DM and we'll get you started, baby.
There you go, man. A little bit extra money in your pocket, man. It's either go buy a $5 value meal or go get some money for yourself. How about that? You know, easy money.
Facts.
There we go. Well, hey, I know we also can't forget about our guy down there, Brandon. Him and his wife got a great business going, Brand Desk Media. They got any kind of photography, any kind of wedding, any kind of videography. They're doing great work down there. Brandon, you got anything else you want to add to that?
I was just going to say, it's the brainchild of my wife. She started this business, small business, about a little over a year ago. She's been putting in the work, putting in the grind, and she brought me along for it. So it's been great to just being able to work these weddings, work these gigs with her. And like Steve said, man, you guys or anybody is getting married, you need somebody to get some photography and videography, make that special day even more special, make memories that last a lifetime. Just hit up Brand Desk Media. We got you covered.
How can you say no to that? And just to throw it out there, if there's anybody that's interested in any kind of sponsorship on the show, we are obviously willing and able. Just let us know on the same DMs that you send on George on the Degenerates channel, or we can post any kind of information on there. So if anybody's interested in getting some notice out there, just let us know out there. All right, now that we got that out the way, let's get into the world of sports. You guys ready out there?
Yes, sir.
Already.
All right. Well, we can't say it wouldn't be America, and it wouldn't be the 4th of July without a little bit of baseball talk. The boys of summer out there. So we got the Home Run Derby coming up, and guess what, boys? They are actually redoing how the Home Run Derby is going to be played. Now, if you remember back in 2015, they changed it around, and I like the way they changed it around. They made it to where it's a bracket system, borderline like the March Madness tournament. So you would get your first round, you would have 3 minutes. You get one timeout, and you would get a 425-foot home run. Anything above that would get you an extra 30 seconds. Problem was that players were getting gassed. These are athletes, and it is summer, so we can't just all of a sudden, just act like they're, being lazy out there, because it is a lot of work. They were just a little fact I didn't realize, and it's one of those things that everybody's an armchair quarterback out there thinks they can do it. The players were averaging about 44 to 45 swings a round. So you times that, if you go advance the third round, do the math there. That's a lot of swings. That's almost, a whole series of at-bats in one game, and it really is just for show. So the players decided that they wanted to change it around a little bit. So here's the new rules on how the new format's going to be, and I want to get your guys' opinion on what you guys think of this. So it's going to be 8 hitters, and the top 4 advance. Ties will be broken up by the longest home run in the first round, which is great because this is all about going the long ball. So I like the way the first round goes. They got rid of the 1 versus 8 or 1 versus 7, however it was, which I think is a good idea. So then round 2, it goes back to the bracket style, to where it'll be 3 versus 2, 4 versus 1, based off first round home run totals. Still working with us pretty good on this one. Yeah. So the top 2, in the final, needless to say, the top 2 will face off. So the way the rules will work for the first and semifinal rounds, you get 3 minutes. Here's where the difference comes in. It's a pitch count, almost ergo the NBA three-point shootout. You get 40 pitches and 1 timeout. And we can't forget how important that timeout. People start getting gassed midway through. So you get 1 timeout. You get 3 bonus outs. Every swing is a home run or an out in the bonus round. Going back to the 425-foot home run, get you a bonus. But it also, instead of doing it timed, this is a 4th out. So you don't have to worry about the time. Is that if you don't get the home run, now you get 3 outs, you get the extra home run. If you get the 425-foot home run, you get a 4th out for your bonus round. Going on further, the second round is 2 minutes, 27 pitches, 1 timeout. Once the same as the bonus rules apply. Once you get to the finals, it's the same rules as the round 2, and it squares itself out. How do you guys, Brendan? I know this is a little bit different. How do you feel about the home run derby changes?
I mean, I think, like you said, the players, they brought a lot of these concerns up, and I think that that's something that is definitely important for the league in general. Like, you gotta, and we're going to talk about this though too. Like, you want to kind of spice the All-Star festivities up a little bit, make the home run derby a little bit, not just more entertaining, but also more player friendly. I think that's something that definitely will help it going forward. I do like the idea of a pitch limit, because then it also, forces people to be like, hey, some guys might get, a pitcher, and they might get somebody that's pitching like 50 times to them in one round, and then another round they're only going to get like 30. So I like the idea of everybody getting the same amount. You got to make the most of what you got, and I think that that's going to definitely, I think, even the playing field, level it a little bit, and make it, I would also say, the two more competitive. I will say, like, I've got I've got like last year's stuff pulled up, like the highlights from last year, just pull up to the side. And I'm just thinking about Randy Rosenrain versus Vladdy Jr. in that final round, like thinking how gassed Randy was. And I think, honestly, if these rules would have been in place back then, I think he would have had, I think, an even better shot to possibly be Tampa Bay's first home run derby champ.
Yeah, and I think if you go back in history, going back to the gassed aspect of it, let's not forget Josh Hamilton put on arguably the greatest performance of all time and lost because he put 500 home runs in the first 2 rounds or whatever it was. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but you get the idea here. My guy put on a show, didn't win because he was gassed. It's a lot of work out there. George, what are you thinking about these new rules, man?
I love it, man. I mean, sports is the part of the entertainment business, and at the end of the day, whatever changes that you can make to your sport that's going to be better for the fans, for the crowd, for everybody to be in it. It's ultimate win at the end of the day. I mean, yeah, these players are getting gassed out there. They're hitting so much, getting so many pitches, trying to go so fast on these hits. And it's just like you slow it down a little bit, you give them a little more concentration on each hit, try to get it as long as possible. That's what we want to see, the long ball. And
Correct.
I think it's just better for the sport for sure. At the end of the day, like I said, it's all for the entertainment business. Whatever's going to be better for the fans, they're going to enjoy it. They're going to love it. Yeah, it's going to be a little slower than it was before, but it's all a part of the game. And honestly, just like the All-Star weekend for any sport, it's mainly for the entertainment. It's not for the game itself, who really is going to win, try to be a champion, try to be the divisional winner and all that stuff. No, like All-Star weekend is just the entertainment, the biggest entertainment side of a sport for the fans.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying in here. And, honestly, I think what the new rule changes is going to do is going to make excitement for the final round. These two are supposed to be the best at what they're doing. And whenever they're in there, they're not going to be we keep on using the word gassed, and that is a major thing because it is a lot of work out there. Let's not forget it is summer, and this year it's going to be in Texas. And Texas right now is putting on some record numbers of heat. So it's going to be very hot. The thing is that I love about the home run derby as well is these guys really do want to win. And I think that they enjoy having that. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see Shohei Ohtani. He's already announced that he's not going to do it this year for fear of injuring the Tommy John surgery. But that is legit thing is that these guys have to also consider is that there is injury risk in it. This isn't a normal thing that you're doing. You're not just out there taking BP. Now you're swinging for the fences, and that throws off your timing. It also it throws out a lot of things off. So I think with having the pitch count in there, I think that makes things a lot better. It's going to almost be a quality over quantity kind of thing because they might not be as many, but these are going to be some bomb shots that they're going to be sitting out in the field.
Yeah, and exactly. I think as well, one thing I wanted to touch on earlier as well is that these are brought up by the players. I think that's something that's really important because they're the ones out there that are having to take these, like you said, 50 swings per round. You're looking at, if you make it all to the finals, you're at 150 at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, like who better to come up with these rules, I think, than the players that are actually out there participating. And, as somebody that, like there's been a few times that I've gotten to take some BP at the Trop. It is not easy trying to hit a baseball 350, 400 feet. Like I take my best swings and I get it like halfway into the outfield. So They got a lot more torque. I'm more of a contact guy, but no, they put up
Get
a
on base,
lot.
baby. He gets on
Hey,
base.
hey, Yandy Diaz making a career out of that right now. So you got to shout out that man, respect. But yeah, no. So you gotta, it takes a lot of force, a lot of torque that you got to generate. So to be able to do that 150 times in one night, in
Right.
basically 2 hours, how long
Yeah.
the broadcast usually is. Like it's
Yeah, and let's
extremely
not forget too,
difficult.
these guys are also warming up, and in between rounds, they're still in the batting cage. So really, that 150 is just a small number. I mean, it could be closer to 200 if you advance.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
That's your working set, so to say.
yeah.
Right. I mean,
Just
it's one of those things too. Is like everybody loves to be armchair quarterback or the everybody's a at home athlete, but literally just twist for an hour straight, if you will, and see how your body feels after doing that.
Whew, man, these people out here that they just talk nonsense about athletes and how they can do that and I can do this and blah blah blah. It's like, no, man, you put yourself in those shoes. You know how hard it is to hit a 90 miles per hour fastball. I mean,
Right.
obviously in the home run derby, what we could say is what 70, 80 miles per hour. You know,
Yeah.
I'd say mid 80s.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
tweaking it back a bit. But
Yeah.
even then, man, for
Right.
us, for the regular athlete, not professional athlete, for a regular
Right.
athlete to hit a 80-mile-per-hour fastball, have you gone to the cages and try to hit an 80-mile-per-hour fastball? Yo, that's just not easy.
Dude,
No, it's
it
definitely not.
literally it took me one time when I was in college, back in college, I was trying to walk on. It took me a whole summer just to catch up to 80.
Mhm.
So it's like imagine dialing up another 10, 15 mile an hour. That's not easy.
You know,
Yeah.
So
something else I actually really do like about this, the 40 count of the pitches is there's nothing worse, and it's always like that. I do love the All-Star game whenever they're doing or the home run derby when they're doing this, and they'll bring on like their high school batting coach, or they'll bring on. But there's nothing worse than watching the guy for 3 minutes struggling to get it across the plate, or at least at this point, you only got 40 tries to make this work, so you're going for it. So I think that's gonna ramp it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But speaking of baseball, and we keep on bringing up All Stars, they're announcing the All Star starters as we speak right now. So next week we'll definitely have our next show. We'll definitely have our opinions on who got snubbed and who didn't.
For
But
sure.
having said that, I want to have quick little debate with you guys on this. So with the All Star game coming up, like I was saying, what league does the best job for their All Star break? Brandon, how about you take this one first? You're our resident, actual working for the Tampa Bay Rays guy here. What do you think?
well, before I answer, I guess a question to ask is: are we just talking about the All-Star game itself, or are we talking about the entire festivities? Like,
I'm going to go with festivities. I think the whole festivities.
gosh, that's difficult because each sport has so many of the different things that either they used to do, they currently do. Like, obviously NBA, outside the All-Star game, you got NBA with slam dunk contests, 3-point contests. Now, the quality of it, you could say, like, has maybe dipped down a little bit in recent years. I mean, obviously, within the last 10, you've got the dunk contest of 2016. That was epic. With baseball, obviously, it's got the home run derby. It's such a classic tradition. And even NFL with football, like it had for a little bit there, it had some of the skills challenges. Like I remember I still remember my favorite thing is the bench press competition. You just
Yeah.
see big hosses just throwing around 225 like it's nothing. So I would say just based on the sheer, I guess if we're gonna say quantity, I would give it to the NBA just because they've got so much more stuff to offer. And then as far as the All-Star game itself, that again, it's really difficult because I would say mid 2000s, it was very tough to beat the Pro Bowl because you got guys like Sean Taylor knocking the snot out of punters and being able to do that in the All-Star game. In
Damn,
the
I
90s,
wish, man. I
I
wish.
know, man, I miss those days, man. Brian Morstead still seeing stars, um, but NBA back in the 90s, they had their All-Star game was just absolutely fantastic. So, I would say I'd probably say maybe MLB because they still, I think the winner of that still gets home field advantage in the World Series. I don't, it's
Mm.
not the same way in the
Ah,
NBA Finals. So
they don't
that's,
anymore. They
oh,
changed.
they did
Yeah,
just,
I thought that's what everybody's been thinking for years, and I had to look it up because that's what I always thought it was itself. They changed it in 2017. That is not how it goes anymore. Now it is whoever had the best record for the pennant.
my gosh, that's ridiculous.
Which
See,
is
like that,
better. I think that's better though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I do like the idea though of there being some kind of stakes on the line in this All-Star game, and it's not just a glorified exhibition. I
Man,
used to
give them
like
more money, man. Give them a
So I think for the
bonus. Like
for MLB they get 200 grand I think per player for the All Star for the winners, and I think it's 96 for the losers.
ramp that up. Ramp it up.
that.
Put it
So I'll
put it at a
say
million per player, man.
yeah, so I'll say like I'll still
So
say
he
MLB
can cover it
has a better
himself.
All-Star game. I think MLB still has a better All-Star game just because they still play harder.
Right.
Like NBA, like there's no defense anymore in it. It's just, it's threes and dunks pretty much. So I'd say
Are you
festivities.
where are you going with it, Mike? G Mike, what are you thinking?
With the festivities overall, I would say the NBA because when it comes to promoting, like there's so much promotion for it and a lot of hype goes into it. Like a month prior, like a lot of people are talking about it. Celebrities be going out there for the celebrity All Star game, for the 3-point contest, for the slam dunk contest, and for the actual game itself. Yeah, the actual game is kind of tiresome to watch right now, kind of exhausting to watch because you just see the same bull crap over and over again with people shooting wide open shots, no defense being played, no hustle being played. But that's just a different thing that they got to do with the All Star game. You're putting it in the middle of the season when the playoffs are right around the corner. Players don't want to get injured, man. So it's just like something's got to come, something's got to give when it comes to the All Star game. That they got to change it up in some sort of way. But for the festivities, I'll pick the NBA for sure. For the All Star game itself, I would say the MLB, man, because it's like less. There's less risk of getting injured in
Yeah.
baseball than there is compared to the NHL, the NFL, the NBA, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
MLB players might disagree. Other baseball players watching this podcast might disagree, but it's just my opinion. I feel like there's
See,
less risk,
I
like you
think
said.
personally, I think that it's pretty much a slam dunk that MLB has the best All Star festivities. The All Star weekend for the NBA used to be the big grandstand. There was nothing topping that. That was the showcase, but it's gotten so gimmicky now that it's not even worth it. That no one wants to do it anymore. And I think that's also come with a culture of the NBA is that nobody wants to lose. Everybody wants to be the best. No one wants to lose in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan went against Dominique. You know what I mean? Like they put it all on the line. If you come in second compared to those guys, you're still damn good. NBA, that's like, you know what I'm saying? That's a different mentality with the guys now. With baseball, these guys want to be the home run champ because if that one stands alone, you are the man at that point. You'll get remembered for forever. For instance, we just brought up Josh Hamilton. We probably can't bring up too many other things that Josh Hamilton did besides his amazing comeback story and the book and the personal thing. But that guy is always going to be known for that all-star performance that he put on, putting up all those home runs in that game. Never going to die with that one. So I think it's hands down MLB puts it on. And I feel like it's also because the amount of effort that these guys put in. They know they're only going to be out there maybe one at bat, maybe two, because they want to rotate around, risk of injury, but yet it still gets to showcase. There's pitching changes. The pitchers are just ridiculous. So it's your best versus their best almost every single time. MLB has also gotten smart at miking up the guys. And so now you're having conversations. You always wonder what like first base and the base runner is talking about over there. Are they, trash talking, or are they talking about what they're going to do after the game? Are they friends? Do they not like each other? Sometimes there's some interesting conversations, but I think they've gotten really smart with miking the guys up now. And it just adds a layer of fun to it. So I think for me, hands down, baseball has always been the best at the All-Star win. Now, as far as the regular season excitement wise, too bad they can't carry that on. I think the baseball season is a little bit long, but that's another story for another time. But I think that baseball has that hands down. And another one that I really did not really think of until I just recently last year watched it was NHL. The NHL is really cool. Their All-Star festivities are pretty awesome, and those guys really try hard because they don't make as much as like these NBA guys or the MLB guys. So when they get that $1 million check, that actually means something to them, And they do a different format too. They have a all-around skills, which is kind of a cool concept, Now, I would love to see MLB try something different, maybe a long throw competition. You have scenarios, you have, stealing first, different scenarios they can come up with if they wanted to. But I think the way it's out right now is pretty good. And then the celebrity game, it's always funny to watch people people really think that like throwing baseballs and hitting a ball is so easy whenever you're watching it on TV. But if you see some of these celebrities that's never picked up a ball in their life and try to throw it to first base, it is comical.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's got to be hands down baseball. But I did have one more little thing, and you guys can go along with me. I had a conversation with a buddy of mine about this once. So what do you think for a change for the home run derby, just to add something fun, a little bit extra, maybe a 2-round scenario here? Let's bring back legends. Let's get Griffey out there. Let's get Frank Thomas. Let's get some of these guys, Sammy Sosa. I don't care. You name a couple guys, Mark Teixeira. These big guys that could still hit. They're in their probably early 40s. You know they're still taking BP on the side and still crushing balls. Get Vlad Guerrero versus Vlad Guerrero Jr., or just get a Legends division, have them 2 rounds, winner take all, money goes to charity. What do you guys think?
Hey man, whatever more exciting for the fans, and I feel like
I
that
would
would
tune
be.
in. I know that. I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
tune in.
I'm pretty sure a lot of baseball fans will tune in if you.
I think that would be awesome. Who wouldn't
Yeah.
want to see Griffey with the backwards hat crushing home runs again or something? Like, come on, that'd be iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that, if I think it just all depends on that first year you can market it. And like you said, if you can maybe do like Legends bracket, they play the winner of the current players. It could potentially work, especially if
Yeah, there's ways to tweak it, but I just think that'd be kind of cool and nostalgic to bring back some of these guys that you remember, but like, oh man, I haven't seen them in a while. Redo Sammy Sosa, Mark Aguirre, have them settle at one time. I don't know, just have something fun with it. The right marketing campaign, you can come up with anything you want on that. So I think that'd be kind of fun. But
Yeah.
I think it's going to pretty much wrap it up for us on the MLB All-Star game. We have a lot more coming up, considering the All-Star team just got announced. So we'll have snubs in our reactions next episode, or maybe even a little bit further down, so they announce everybody. So we're going to leave the baseball diamond because we have to go to that hardwood court of basketball, baby. And there was a bunch of things going down the last couple of days as free agency got in full swing. And I'm not talking about baseball swing. I'm talking about the money swings. There's been a whole bunch of money being spent out there, bro. And so let's go ahead and start. We got to start at the top, and we got to go out there to Beantown, Boston, as the defending champions.
Ooh.
Just re-signed all-star Jason Tatum to a massive, and I mean massive, super max deal, 5 years, $314 million, making it the largest contract in NBA history. Brandon, that is a massive deal. Break down if you think this is the right move for the Celtics, or did they overpay Jason Tatum in this?
I mean, before I break it down, George, what's the saying again?
Fuck Boston, bro.
All right. That being said, no, I mean, like I said, it's the largest for now. It's the largest contract that's been given out. And I mean, do we want to say that Tatum deserved that or not? Didn't win the finals MVP in his own series, but it's one of those things where I think that some people maybe are just thinking like, oh my gosh, this is so much money to spend on him. Oh my gosh, it's going to ruin the league. The NBA is going to keep making more money.
Yep.
Like
the contracts are going up next year as well. They're the new
TV deal.
The
Yeah,
TV deal is going to be making a lot more money.
Yeah, TV deals are making more money. CBA is going to be adjusted. Like it's just like what had happened in 2016, 2017. The league's just making more money, so it's going to happen. Like these contracts, it's not going to be out of the norm to see, what was it, like a decade ago, role players were getting signed to like 5 million. Now you have a average role player on your team making 20 million.
Right.
That was
Between
reserved
17
for the
and 20.
stars. Yeah. So like that was for the stars back then. So now your stars are making 50, 60, 70 million now on average. I know, we're going to talk about it at some point, but Braun just re-signed like, 50 over 50 million. So these contracts right now seem absolutely crazy and absurd, but give it 3-4 years, it's going to be the new norm, and it's just going to be a bargain at this point. And, as far as what it means for Boston, they re-signed their franchise player. He's their guy, him and Brown both. So it's a no-brainer.
Boston's had a hell of a offseason right here too. Is they've damn near locked up the entire team. They were able to re-sign Tatum, as we just said, but they also re-signed Derek White, which was a major piece in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Derek White arguably might have been the best player on the court. Jaylen Brown was definitely a star, but Derek White was out there doing his thing. And so they was able to re-sign him to a 4-year, what was the money on this one? He was able to get a 4-year deal out of this, and Derek White's young.
$29.6 million.
Exactly. Tatum is young. Tatum's only 26. And what the crazy thing you ever think of these contracts is that, man, this is so much money, 315, I believe it was, for 4 years. That's going to put him at 30. So the dude hasn't even hit his prime, and he's going to get another contract on top of that. It just, the amount of money that's being thrown around out there is just absolutely insane. G Mike, I know you hate Boston up there. What's your thoughts on what they were doing up there? I mean, you got to respect what they've been able to do and maintain a team that just went to the championship.
Yeah, and then that's the key word right there, respect. Because at the end of the day, like we always said, fuck Boston. But dude, I'm always about everybody getting their money, and JT, he does deserve it. He's a great
Absolutely.
player. I won't compare him to Kobe because I would never do that. But you know, he's getting on the stride of trying to become like Kobe, and he's getting there every year, an inch closer, a foot closer. So mad respect to him. His game is out the roof. He's definitely top 10 in the league right now. There's a reason why he goes to the USA teams every single Olympics since he's got in.
Yep.
There's a reason why Boston is always in the playoffs since he's been there for the next 4 or 5 years. He's gonna be one of the reasons why Boston probably makes it out the East every year from now on. And it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, he deserves that money. Derek White deserves that money too. I was hoping and praying that Boston will say, "Yo, man, you got to get out of here. We can't give you all this
I
money and this
I
and
think
that."
every single team besides Boston was hoping for the same exact
Yeah,
thing.
exactly,
White
exactly.
is
And
an
it's
amazing extra piece. If he's like your third or fourth best player on your starting lineup, that dude, that is set up so well.
yeah,
Yeah.
they spent 928 million this offseason on Derek White, JT, Jalen Brown, Drew Holiday, and Christoph Porzingis. So
You know
they locked
what's
their team in for the next 4 or 5 years, man.
you know what's wild is that when you throw that number out, it sounds like so much, but that is money well spent because all of these guys are
They
in their
proved
mid 20s.
themselves.
I want to say KP might be the oldest at what 29. So
Yeah.
they've given them good contracts and that they were able to get out of the contracts in the end whenever they start to maybe go down a little bit. Or in Tatum's case, Jalen Brown's young too. Jalen Brown's I think even younger than Tatum if I'm not mistaken.
2 years
But they're
younger.
able to continue this going. So Boston is that's been really smart. Shout out to Brad Stevens out there, moving from the court up to the GM's office, and because it was a lot of Danny Ainge before, but now Brad Stevens is putting his stamp on the team too, and doing a hell of a job out there. So shout out to Brad Stevens for doing that.
Yep.
They
For
weren't
sure.
the only ones out there spending some money, though, you boys. So the East got really interesting this offseason, I feel like. I feel like the West has been more of the dominant force in the league, but the East is kind of knocking on that door all of a sudden with some of the moves they made. The Philadelphia 76ers signed Paul George to a 4-year, $212 million contract, pairing him up with newly re-signed Tyrese Maxey on a 5-year, $204 million extension. Mike, the 76ers are putting some weapons around Embiid, but is this still the same 76ers, or is these actual moves going to actually change what they've been doing, or is this just the same damn team that's been going on for the last few years?
No, it's definitely an upgrade. You get Tobias Harris out of there that he can probably average like 15 points per game. He probably averages like 10 points per game. He shows up whenever he feels like it. It's like he calls off from work every other week and he has unlimited sick days of how Tobias Harris playing on the court. This is why he went back to the Detroit Pistons on a 2 year, what was it? 2 year, $52 million deal. This guy just robbed Detroit of their money. Detroit fans, go find this man. This guy robbed you. And it's an upgrade with Paul George. He's a better shooter, better rebounder, better teammate, better player, better, I don't even know, better commentator, better podcaster. He's better at everything. He's just better. And Tobias Harris had to go. They bring him in. It's definitely an upgrade. But is it enough to beat the Boston Celtics? No, it's not.
That's really what it comes down to, honestly. And with it's going to be tough out there in the East because they added Paul George. Now it's kind of is Paul George past his prime in this situation? I still like Paul George a lot. That it's not really moving anything for me for the 76ers. Now Tyrese Maxey on the other hand deserves every bit of that Maxey deal. Get it? But he's an amazing young talent. I have loved Tyrese Maxey. I think that was a well-deserved contract for him. I just don't think Philadelphia has done enough to change them getting out of the second round.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
See,
and you're right. And you're right.
I kind of disagree though. Like, I feel like, I think, obviously we were kind of moving past the big three era now. Like, before everybody was trying to get big threes. Now it's more of like duos and just trying to build
I think
it.
it's way past the big three. I think
Yeah.
that's way long
No,
done.
you
Yeah.
need the deep nine. That's what you need.
Yeah,
The deep nine.
100%.
Normally, I would say like a team that's trying to go for a big three is kind of screwed. But honestly, if you think about what Philadelphia needs as far as like for a third star, if you want to call that, PG fits it perfectly. He's a guy that can create his own shot. He can score. He can play make. He can do a little bit of everything. Play great defense on the perimeter, and he's not going to be asked to do as much as he was in places like OKC and places like LA. He's just going to be able to kind of just be that third option behind Tyrese and Joel, and then also though too, but be one of the best all around players on the team. But they didn't just get PG as well. Like you've got say what you will about him. You got Eric Gordon, you got Andre Drummond that are being added to the team as well for some depth. I mean, is it going to be enough to beat Boston? Probably not, but it definitely puts you up there. Like it makes you more competitive. And I think it slides you up a few spots in the East. And I think that honestly, out of all the 76ers teams that I think have been fielded the last few years, this is probably going to be, at least in my opinion, I think it could be the very best one that they've had in the Joel Embiid era. So
I agree. And if they re-sign Buddy Hield, I think they're even more impactful. It's just that the ultimate question is, can you beat the Boston Celtics? Because that's the team right now. It's the best team in the NBA, obviously, but they're in your conference. You got to get through them to make it to the NBA Finals. And if we're doing matchup count, Paul George on JT, okay, cancel each other out. Joel Embiid on KP, cancel each other out. Tyrese Maxey on Derek White, cancel each other out. But then you got Drew Holiday. Then you got two buddies coming off the bench for Celtics, and who do the Sixers got? Kelly Oubre. Say it again.
That was just I caught the tail end. You said Embiid and KP cancel each other out.
Yeah, I mean, not obviously Joel Embiid's a better player.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah.
I'm just saying the matchup. The matchup.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Celtics are deep, is what I'm saying, compared to the Sixers. Who they're gonna get off the bench? Kelly Oubre.
Right.
Oubre is going to give you maybe in a 7-game series, he'll probably give you 2 good games.
Yeah, I definitely like the way Philadelphia is constructed with this one. I do agree. I think this is one of the better teams that they actually have in this whole thing. It's gotten to the point that if this doesn't work, they're gonna have to pull the trigger on moving some pieces, even though they just kind of put this together. It's unfortunate, but I think you've ran down this Embiid road, and we've already been down this road before. I just don't find Embiid as a winner. I think he's a hell of a talent. He can play. He's a hell of a baller, MVP already, but I just don't find him a winner. And in most clutch situations, he's had a couple of good games, but for overall, he just hasn't been there. It hasn't been able to get him out. And at that size, been on his skill set, what he's able to do, I just don't think that Philadelphia is set up anymore better than they were last year. Now they were able to move some pieces and break some other guys in, so they definitely have improved, but it just doesn't, it's not doing anything for me, if you will. But
and I mean, if worse comes to worse, if this is like, the last ride of that, the trust the process 76ers, and they're looking to ship out some pieces, hey, we'll take Tyrese down in Orlando all day. So
and I think anybody would take him. I think he's the piece you're going to keep. You're going to move Embiid because he's constantly hurt, or he's just not doing it for you anymore, but well, there was definitely some other moves, and my Dallas Mavericks made some noise out there, and they picked up Klay Thompson on a 3-year, $50 million contract. And I personally love what the Mavs did with this one. One of the biggest things that Dallas needed, if you watch back the finals, was 3-point shooting. They were lacking it so bad in 3-point shooting. Now, I understand Klay is not the same as the Klay that he used to be before the injury. That was a catastrophic injury. He's come back, and he's still been playing pretty good. He's good. He's been coming off the bench for the first time in his career. Having said that, Dallas just needs 3-point shooting. I don't want this guy to pass the ball. I don't want him getting assists. I don't even want him guarding anybody. If you get the ball in your hands, even if you're at half court, shoot the ball. That is what you're here for. Just give us that other option. And I think the beauty of what signing Klay Thompson does is that right now you can have Luka and Kyrie as your starters, have them do it. You can even start Klay if you wanted to, have him play a few minutes, get the ball rolling, get it off to a hot start. You can bench him. But then when Luka or Kyrie go off, you still have a 1-2 punch tandem that you can have scoring out there. And that's what Dallas was kind of lacking, is legitimately people to help them out with scoring. And if you watch the finals, the one game that they did, they were finally hitting threes. The one game that they won, they were finally hitting some threes. All the other games couldn't find a 3-point shot to save their life. So I really do like the Klay Thompson deal over here. 3 years, $50 million really isn't even that bad of a contract either. And so the other really good thing that I like about the Klay Thompson signing is that Klay chose to come to Dallas. Klay had other offers for other places making more money, but he chose to come to Dallas. And he's been rumored with Dallas since about the All-Star break last year. They were talking about trying to make a move for him then. Things just didn't work out and they didn't make the move. But signing him in the offseason, I think, is a great move for them. And what I like is that you have options now. You got a guy you can run him as a starter if you want. You can run him off the six man. I personally think he'd be a fantastic six man, almost like a Brandy. You'll appreciate this one. Almost like a Terrence Ross, coming off the bench and get you those points, get a hot streak going, and then you can sit back down. Now he still can defend. It's not like the guy is a statue anymore. It's just he's not what he used to be. He used to be an elite defender. He's just not the same. It's amazing that he's even actually still able to play off that injury that he had. Right. So shout out to Klay Thompson for that. I really like what the Mavs did with this. And honestly, I also got to give a shout out to the GM out there, Nico. It's but the first time in a long time that we've been able to land some actual free agents. Dallas has been notorious for being passed up. All the Dirk years, they always got passed up. They would always be the top two teams, and somehow, some way, they would get the rug swept from underneath them. Never really understood it because Dallas has no estate tax. There would have been a year to make your money. And Dirk was a willing guy that was like, I don't care about being the star. I just want to win. So I really like what the GM is doing out there. That Mark Cuban kind of stepped aside, maybe realizing his time has passed in that situation. So I really like what Dallas did out there. George, what's your thoughts on this one, man? What do you think about the Klay Thompson signing?
I love it. I love it. We talked about this before. I think it was like last month or like 2 months ago while the playoffs were going on. And we were actually talking about how Klay would fit with you guys well, and I really, truly believe that. The only thing I would say, I would like him as a starter, right? Because in the Miami Heat, we got Duncan Robinson, and when we have him starting, he can shoot the lights out the gym. So if he starts the game going 3 for 3 from 3, it just puts you guys at more of an advantage.
$5, you do that again.
3 for 3. It puts you guys more at an advantage when you're scoring that much at will offensively, especially with Luka and Kyrie on the court as well. So it's great. It's a great signing for you guys, and I really think it's going to help improve your team. On the defensive side, it's kind of a liability. Yes, he's not a statue, but he's not the same guy. He got 2 ACL tears on 2 different knees that really affects a player. And you guys lost Derrick Jones Jr., who was probably your best defender when it comes to wing players on the court. Yeah. So it would have been nice to keep him. You bring him off the bench to cover the best player. You give Klay time to rest, and Klay comes back in. He could drop easily 15 points per game, and that's what really the Mavs needed in the finals. No one else was scoring. So.
Yeah, I mean, Klay last year was still averaging 17.9 a game, 43% from the field, and 38.7 from 3. So it's not like the guy, even like his numbers, it's the first time in his career he hasn't averaged 20 since his rookie season. So Klay has fallen off a little bit, but I mean, you're still averaging 19 points a game. I mean, that's still, and you also have Steph Curry on your team too, so like those numbers be a little bit skewed. So.
And I'm sure that atmosphere wasn't great for Klay during that last season, man. Like him coming back, trying to prove himself, and people doubting him and stuff like that. A lot of mental health right there that he probably needed, a little therapy talk and stuff like that. Like it probably affected his on-court play, and even in the atmosphere around in the locker room, around the front office, in the training facilities. Like, we never really know what was going on. I'm pretty sure it really affected him. And now he's going to a new place where they really want him. They gave him a good contract. They gave him some good money. He turned down some money from the Lakers because in the Lakers, they were going to give him $10 million more per year. And so he was like, man, I see the Mavericks. They look like they're in win now mode. The Lakers are not in win now mode. And it's just like it's a good situation for him overall, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, really.
Yeah.
And what's your thoughts on that one, man?
No, I mean, I think it's a perfect fit for you guys, and you guys pretty much hit all the nails on the head. I think offensively, he's exactly what you guys needed. He's one of the best off-ball scorers that you could ask for, one of the most efficient off-ball scorers of all time. That dude, I mean, I still remember the one game where he scored how many points off of like 15 dribbles or something like that. Like
it was like the first half, he had like 15 threes or something along those lines, whatever it was. And he's still at this point number 6 all time. Yeah. And he's only played, I think, 11 years maybe or so, something like that. So like that's amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, you want to try to find a way to fit. I agree with George. I think that you need, as great as it would be to have that kind of talent off the bench, I think that his best chance is to be in the starting lineup. And I think that yes, he's had the ACL surgeries, and yes, that's slowed him down definitely on defense. I think then, if anything, why not shift him over to small forward then? Like, Kyrie and Luca are your 1 and 2. Just let
Yep.
him guard a three where he's not needed to guard the faster, more explosive, guards in the league, and he can kind of go up against more bigger body players. And I think he still has a decent amount of strength left in him. So I feel like he can make a really smooth transition to the three. And then, you've got the rest of your roster right there, Gafford, Lively, that can come in at the
Yeah.
4 and 5. So I think it's a great fit for you guys. And I think the next arc for him is to transition to a small forward and just, continue to be one of the best off ball players of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting piece. And now I wish it was Clay, prior injury, but he wasn't leaving the Warriors at that point. So man can only dream. Well, we also got some news out there in LA. I seen on the West. The LA Lakers have agreed on a 2-year deal with LeBron James to stay with the Lakers
LeBron
at a
James.
$104 million, and the deal also has a no trade clause. Is this a surprise to anybody that LeBron stayed in LA?
No,
No,
it is nuts.
he's there. His son's there. He's basically part-time GM. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too, is that I always feel like the big networks, they always want to do, we have to talk about LeBron, we have to talk about LA. But this season actually is kind of interesting because they, for once, haven't landed one major free agent. Klay Thompson turned him down. LeBron is absolutely, I mean, I would take, anybody would still take LeBron. I don't care what anybody says. You may think he's a crybaby, whatever issues you have with LeBron, that's fine. But you would still take him on a 2-year deal on any team in the league. I guarantee that. Having said that,
Yeah.
where is the state of the Lakers right now? They haven't landed a free agent. They haven't been able to land. They got a new coach. Is this the end of like their run, or are they just going to be able to wrap it together? And LeBron is just that damn good that it's going to work out.
It's over, man. Like 2020 was such a weird year for that championship team, and I know last week we were talking about the draft, talking about like trying to put some rose-colored glasses on like this situation, Bronny and Dalton connect, but like you know I think that the Lakers are pretty much past the point now of competing for a championship. Would it be a great story, father son winning, deep playoff run?
Oh
Yeah,
man.
for sure. It'd be one of the greatest sports stories ever. But I think in reality, we all know what this team's about. They are, playing team to potentially like middle of the pack out in the West, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're done for it too. And it's just more on the fact that players see what the Lakers are going through, and it's only really LeBron, AD, and if you want to just sprinkle it a little bit on top, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and D'Lo. But even then, those three are not really as consistent to help you win to get to the finals, and especially in the West, man. Come on, like there's so many teams in the West that it's so hard to beat. It's insane, and like these free agents see all of this that's happening with the Lakers, and they're just like, yeah, I'm not trying to really be a part of that. I'm trying to win now. I'm talking about the big time free agents. I'm trying to win now. I'm trying to get my money. LeBron's already 39. He's already coming down in the back end of his career. He's going to be 41 when this contract is up. And they're just like, man. And then they look at AD too. Like, AD is super injury prone. Like, yeah, he could
Always.
be one of the best players on the floor when he's healthy, but you never know when he's really going to be healthy. And if you're a
Right.
player going over there, that's got to be one thing on your mind. You're like, damn, man, is this guy going to be playing 50 games and then play the first round of the playoffs, and then next thing you know he gets injured and we're fucked and I came here for no reason? Or is this
Yeah.
guy going to play the whole season and he's going to be healthy? Like, you really don't know. And the same
Yeah, and if
thing is the same thing with the Clippers and Kawhi. Like, you don't
yeah.
really know.
Yeah, if I
Yeah.
had to guess for the Lakers, I foresee, because of just the way the writing's been on the wall, that DeMar DeRozan will probably end up over there. No one's picked up DeMar DeRozan. I think he's still a damn good player. I'm actually kind of surprised no one's picked him up yet. He is, in my opinion, I would love for him to maybe take a small deal to
We
come to
want you
Dallas.
in
Or,
Miami, DeMar.
yeah, I think DeMar DeRozan is a really good player. And honestly, the player I think to watch out for is Trey Young in some sort of trade. I think that one's been rumored for there's been way too much talk of Trae Young leaving there. Even though they did get rid of Murray in Atlanta, they did draft the young French guy, French phenom out there. But I could also see them just moving away from Trae and just starting back over again. The Trae Young thing has worked, but hasn't. They did go to a conference final. It's just, I don't know if it's just that he's not, his body type isn't well enough to make it to a championship, or he's just not that great, or how it's worked out. I'm not 100% sure, but I will always be thankful for Trae Young because Trae Young was traded for Luka Doncic. So I will always remember that.
Don't be
I mean,
real quick. Don't be surprised you see Lonzo Ball go back to the Lakers.
oh my gosh, that'd be insane.
I
But
mean, is that really gonna, get you excited? Is that hot and bothered or anything?
He's a good playmaker. He's a good defender, and he can shoot the 3 ball.
Yeah, just
Just
ask
say.
him. He'll let you know.
yeah. But I mean, as far as like with Trae Young, though, if he goes out to LA, I still don't know, because and I think another thing we haven't really talked about a lot is I think the prospect of playing with LeBron has probably turned away some players. Like, I don't think it carries quite the prestige that it once had.
Yeah.
And I think that you've just kind of seen over the years, Le GM, it's like, when you go to a team he's on, you kind of have to wonder in the back of your head, yo, am I about to be traded because I don't fit with what LeBron wants? Like, am I too good at scoring? Am I too good at playmaking? Because he
Yeah.
wants the ball in his hands most of the time on offense. And if you take away from that and you don't play defense, he's not going to want you. Like, he wants guys that will play defense because he doesn't have to then put any effort on that end.
And
So
shooters.
and he can play offense.
Which would make sense for Trae Young to go there because that's what Trae is good at.
But Trae also
Yeah, but he don't play defense.
Yeah, and on top of that, he has such a high usage rate. He's probably not going to like being reduced to a spot up shooter like Kevin Love was. Like, you could say almost Kyrie was a little bit. Like, so many guys that, playing with a LeBron team, you have to adjust your role to fit him. So I think a lot of free agents last few years are seeing that as well. And it's like, I kind of don't want to go there to just be reduced to LeBron's teammate and play for this nightmarish show that is Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, JJ Redick did say though he wants LeBron to be more of a spot up shooter. So
and then they also, with the Lakers too, to put a kind of a ribbon on the Lakers in the offseason too, the Lakers had announced today that Bronny most likely almost all the entire season will pretty much be in the G League. So a whole talk of him taking over, any of that kind of stuff. It's a good story. He'll play a couple games with the Lakers, obviously, to sell some tickets to him and his dad, but for the most part, they're going to develop him in the G League, and which will be great. I mean, I hope that it works out for him, because a lot of times it doesn't whenever you have this big legacy. So, it just give him some time. It's a project, and if it works, then hey, you never know what you got there. I mean, they did get him in the second round. They didn't make him a first rounder. So, hopefully it works out for Bronny out there. Now,
we'll see if they're coming to Osceola at any point anytime soon. If they are, get you guys some tickets.
There we go. There we go.
Well,
speaking of Osceola, let's go ahead and go to that big club up there in Orlando. Brandon, I know that's your team, and you are a major Magic fan. What's them boys in O-Town doing, man?
I mean, other than signing Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I mean, just re-signing most of their staff and crew. Like, that's pretty much all it is. Like, they pretty much, the theme of this entire free agency class pretty much has just been continuity, consistency. And the Magic did the same thing. You re-signed Goga to a 3-year deal. Gary Harris, which I kind of disagree with bringing him back, especially if you're signing KCP.
Yeah, you have the same guy in KCP already. So,
and KCP is a far superior player, I think, to Gary Harris. So I don't know why you bring him back.
He's just older, so they have to give him a little break.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe they'll reduce Gary Harris's role. He's not going to be relied upon to be that spot starter, first guy off the bench, maybe perhaps in certain situations. They brought back Jonathan Isaac on a 5-year extension, which I think, depending on who you are, some of you are going to love it, some of you are going to hate it. I love it because of what his potential is. Defense, he's a DPOY candidate. I think every single season he brings that, and he's coming off the bench. So I think the reduced minutes that he has had over the last few years, I think will help his body, I guess, like, for lack of a better term, like, not be so injury prone. So I think that's a smart deal. And then bringing back Mo Wagner too. They needed another backup big because Dell, you don't know how many months he's going to be missing or how many games he'll miss. So I think having your 2 bigs, back, I think it's all just great. I think it's just all a great, re-signing for them. And then again, KCP, He's not gonna light up the stat sheet. He'll probably give you 10 a night. He'll probably give you like 3 and 3 either way. But he does it on great efficiency and he does it on great defense. So I can't really fault him too much. And they let Joe Ingles walk. So, sad to see Jingles go, but he had to go.
Hey, I mean,
Yeah.
who better to replace Gary Harris by replacing Gary Harris with Gary Harris?
Hey, that is
So you're not missing anything, putting the same guy back in, so
superior Gary.
Spider-Man meme looking at each other.
Yeah. I think that was a great signing though with KCP. Like we talked about it last year.
He is a winner too. Let's not forget he was with Denver when they won that championship. So
he's
like
a
that
winner. He's a lockdown defender. He's a great 3-point shooter, and that's what you guys really need. You needed another scorer. You need another person who's going to play defense because you guys are a very defensive team, defensive-oriented team for sure. And he's going to come in there. He's going to put up points. He's going to put up shots, and he's going to be a leader. He's going to teach y'all how to win.
Yeah. And I think Coach Mo as well, like they're Coach Mo, the whole front office, like they've really been together on like not wanting to sacrifice their defensive identity just for the sake of adding more scoring, which is frustrating when you want to bring in somebody like a Trae Young, at least in my opinion. I would love it. But, for them, they still want to keep that defensive identity as much as they can. So for this signing, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, let's stick with the theme of Florida up here, George. You big Miami Heat guy. How's the offseason been for you guys, man?
It's been horrible. It's been horrible. Yeah, we signed Bam. We re-signed him to a contract extension, which was awesome. But then we go ahead and just sink the boat, and we re-sign Kevin Love. Yeah, it's good little leadership tendencies right there, and he could come in and put up like 2 or 3 threes. But he's a liability on defense. He's too slow. He can't grab all the rebounds like he used to. Yeah, he's a good outlet passer, but I feel like we could have put that spot in something else. Then we go ahead and re-sign Thomas Bryant, which he really didn't do much last year. We signed him to a 1-year deal. He's a good rebounder and all that, but then we drafted Kel Ware. He should be a big part of our team next year, and I don't know why we're bringing back Thomas Bryant if we have Orlando Robinson still, unless we're going to let go of Orlando Robinson, then I understand it. But if we're going to bring back Orlando Robinson, that's 4 bigs that we're going to have that need a little playing time. And I'd rather give the rookie than anybody else. And then the only good thing about this offseason so far has been signing Alec Burks, that we did that today. Even though I wanted Buddy Hield, I feel like Buddy Hield would have fit us way more, a 3D player. That's exactly what we need in our system. That's what we love in our system. Alec Burks, yeah, he's a good scorer. He can give us maybe 10 to 15 points per game off the bench, but he's too inconsistent. His defense is all not there, and now you're taking up more money if we're the favorites right now to land DeMar DeRozan. And we bring in DeMar DeRozan. He's a little old, but he can still put up 20 points per game. Mid-range assassin. His 3-point shooting is not there, but he knows how to create space inside of the perimeter and maybe dish it out, or if not, put up the shot and make some crazy shots. I saw him hit 5 game winners last season, and he took the Bulls to the play. And yeah, they didn't get farther than that, but that's because their team was not.
I think a lot of people sleep on. I think a lot of people sleep on DeRozan. I think DeRozan's a very solid player.
Very solid player, but he could play defense. He could shoot the mid-range.
He can help out almost any team. So I think whoever he signs with finally will get a good player. And especially if he doesn't have to be the focal point of the offense, if he can just be your 2 or 3, maybe if he preferably your 3, that's a hell of a get right there, especially at this point because the market's going to be going down. So whoever signs him at this point is getting a hell of a discount. Sign him for a 2-year deal if you don't trust him or anything like that. But I think he's worth getting that money.
Supposedly, he's supposed to give an answer to whatever team by tomorrow. So hopefully,
TBD on that,
Hopefully, it's the 305, babe.
have Pitbull announce it for you guys. That always get it.
Dolly.
So I think that so for free agency, guys, I don't know if you're really gonna. There's a lot of names, but there was a lot of names that stayed in the same places. So. You could either go on the route of who do you think won, or who do you any notable mentions that you guys want to mention out there that you think made some good moves?
Got one. Isaiah Hartenstein to OKC, I think, is a very underrated move. He's a guy that I think we talked about last week, or on the first podcast. He's a guy that he's not going to wow you with the stat sheet, but everything that you need him to do, he does incredibly well. Offensive rebounds, he's going to get you a big body in the post. And if you're OKC, who your starting center last year was Chet Holmgren, that is a very big upgrade in terms of physicality
Yeah.
because he was getting bodied down low all last year, especially when you're going up against the Joel Embiid's, Porzingis's, now
Get weight on him.
yeah, he does. But now you've got kind of a Twin Towers thing now with Hartenstein. And I think, this also allows though to Holmgren to kind of step out a little bit more, spread the floor on offense, and also too he doesn't have to stay down low the whole time. He can kind of be that backside, weak side defender, coming in for the chase down blocks. So Hartenstein in the starting lineup with OKC, you move.
OKC is a scary looking team.
They are
really like top to bottom. They are a damn good team.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's going to be OKC is going to be a team to watch next year for sure with Hartenstein down low.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love
okay. We will see. See what I did there? Yeah, you like that?
This guy,
man, he's
right here. This guy.
No, that was a great move for OKC for sure. You move a Chet to the 4, which I feel like he truly is. Yeah, he's a 7-foot player, but the way that he plays, I feel like he is a 4. He can post, do a little fadeaway. He could spot up the 3. He could drive into the lane. And you got Hartenstein there that's going to do more of the dirty work, grab the rebounds, get him second chance points, second chance possessions. Yeah. So I really think it's a good move for OKC. And for Hartenstein, too, it was a great move, man. 3 years, 87 million.
Yeah.
Sheesh, baby.
Yeah, I'll take it. George, you got anybody else you want to mention for free agency?
I just want to say again that Tobias Harris robbed the shit out of the Pistons. I mean, 2 years, 52 million, bro. Dude, man, this guy's worse than Ben Simmons out here.
Nothing else.
Saying something there.
Agency. Tobias Harris is the world's most professional bank robber. Yep. There we go.
Yep. And then shout out to the Cavs because I really had hope that Donovan Mitchell was gonna do a little sign-in trade, to us primarily, but even to another team. But Cavs signed them 3 years, $150.3 million extension. So shout out to the Cavs for keeping their best player.
There's been some rumors now that they might be possibly moving Garland, but I like what they got going on there in Cleveland. I think keep them both. They got a good little nucleus going. They were the playoffs. They were just hurt. They they did what they could in a bad situation. So
yeah, definitely keep them both.
We're gonna jump away from the NBA and head out to let's just face it, America's favorite sport. We're gonna continue our series on the NFC West. So we have the San Francisco 49ers coming in on top. They were obviously representing the NFC in the Super Bowl with a record of 12-5. And man, they just don't seem like they are slowing down. Now, there's been a little bit of drama going on with the 49ers and with the Brandon Ayuk situation. Personally, I think that's all going to get squashed and they're going to come to agreements on it. The 49ers also drafted, kind of a surprise, they drafted Ricky Pearsall out of UF. Who, if you've ever got a chance to watch Ricky Pearsall play, I'm a diehard Gators fan, and that kid is absolutely amazing. I think he's going to fit in with the 49ers exactly what they need. The guy basically plays like he has stickum on his hands. The guy doesn't miss a catch. And they'll be able to use him as like a gadget player. So I think that's going to be a great signing for the 49ers. Brandon, what's your thoughts on what the state of the 49ers are right now?
I mean, it's just kind of wash, rinse, and repeat. They just added another weapon on offense. Now you got a 3-headed monster at wide receiver with Pearsall, Ayuk, and Deebo Samuel. So it's, and then you got the Madden cover boy in the backfield, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy leading the charge. Offensively, it's pretty much same old story, and then defensively too. Like they're just continuing to, be great on defense. So I don't really see, not a lot of turnover, but just a lot of great additions by the team. So another favorite for the division.
Now, you guys all got to be honest here. Whenever you saw that Chris McCaffrey got the Madden cover for fantasy-wise, were you not all losing your shit out there thinking, oh my God, the Madden curse is back? Why did you do this to CMC?
Wow, just because he was injury-prone in the past.
I just hope it doesn't happen. CMC is such an electric, awesome player to watch. And shout out to him. He just got married out there, too. So congrats to McCaffrey out there. The invite, I guess, got lost in the mail or something. I get it, man.
I was there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was beautiful. I heard the vows were amazing.
Yeah. George is the guy that snuck in the back. Security was like trying to.
George was the waiter.
I was eating the hors d'oeuvres.
Joe, so what's your thoughts on the 49ers, my man?
I think, man, they're gonna be the best team out of the NFC. They haven't taken a step back. If they
Really?
lose Brandon Ayuk, it's gonna be a sucker punch for sure. It's gonna suck, but I still believe that they will be the best team out of the NFC and they will go to the Super Bowl once again. Fun fact: in every game this season, the Niners are favored in every game. If you're a betting man, check out the Telegram, the Degenerates.
Well, here's the thing, too, that's interesting about the 49ers is that they're able to sign Chris McCaffrey. They're able to sign all these players and keep this core that they've had going for a little while, all because they were able to land Brock Purdy. You can't say enough how important that deal was to land a
Huge.
quality guy, the last pick of the draft. That if you obviously everybody's heard the story enough, Mr. Irrelevant, but it is so important because that guy is getting paid last pick of the draft money. And
Would you
so we
say
always
that's quite
thinking
relevant?
about it. Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Honestly, that guy gets forgotten about once again because he's going to collect some money. And I think he is the absolutely perfect guy for what San Francisco likes to do. It's all about the run game and misdirection. And it's like a mini Miami, where Miami got their, where, Kyle Shanahan descendant. But they love to run these. They're not asking him to be Patrick Mahomes out there. They're not asking him to do any of these things. And he's a perfect guy for what they're trying to do. An accurate passer that just needs to get the ball out and don't make stupid mistakes. And that's exactly what Brock Purdy is. He's a borderline, pretty much the new Kirk Cousins, if you will. And no disrespect in that matter. Kirk Cousins is a damn good quarterback. So I think the 49ers are in such a precarious situation because they are able to do all these moves. And even if they lose Ayuk, they got Ricky Pearsall. Never know, it could work out. They're not there. Ricky Pearsall is a little bit more of a slot guy, where I think Ayuk's more of like a take the top off of their. Just out of curiosity, if you guys had the choice here, who would you keep out of the two of them? Debo or Brandon Ayuk?
Depends on what type of play that they want to go with, because Debo is an elite catcher, and he's when he's running the ball, he's essentially like a running back. Brandon Ayuk, he's an elite catcher, but he's an elite route runner as well. And to separate from corners and safeties and linebackers, you got to be an elite route runner. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it just depends on what route you want to go. And for me, I would stick with Ayuk and give up Debo.
That's what I was going to say as well.
Just because of the fact that you have CMC and Elijah Mitchell, two outstanding backs that you can use to run the ball or run wheel routes or whatever the case may be. So I'd rather give up Devo than give up Ayuk. But then again, if you're really asking me, I keep them both.
Yeah, why not keep them both? Exactly. I agree. Yeah, so I think the 49ers are pretty much the class of the NFC West out there. But the NFC West is pretty damn good, actually. So coming in second place with a record of 10-7 was the LA Rams.
Yeah.
And the Rams just feel like they are a team that no one ever thinks of, that is just always there. Like, they're just a team that, like, you're like, oh, who was in the playoffs last year? Like, oh yeah, the Rams were in that one. Or, you just don't think of the Rams whenever it comes to elite teams, but yet they're always right there, always competing, always in that. And Stafford is playing well. He's coming to the end of the career, no doubt about it. But the Rams with Sean McVay and what they do out there, you can't deny the fact that they have a legit chance out here. What's your thoughts on that one, Brandon?
I mean, I think the Rams are very underrated in terms of, like, they're not just how their roster was constructed prior to going in the offseason. I mean, obviously losing Aaron Donald's a big blow. Like, that's probably the biggest blow any team could have, is losing a 3-time defensive player of the year, certified.
I would have been probably like top 10 of greatest all time. Like, I think Aaron Donald is maybe even going lower than that. Aaron Donald is just an absolute amazing athlete.
The amount of dominance that he had in such a short amount of time is just absolutely absurd. So losing him was a big blow for sure. But how they counteracted that with how they drafted, getting Jared Verse and Braden Fisk.
Two players replaced the one, so.
Exactly. And so that it's one of those where, you're losing an all-time great, but you're also getting two really great talents as well along the front. And you have a little bit more depth now because you're not just relying on one person to get the job done. And then also, in addition to, just from the draft, you get Blake Corum out of Michigan. He was probably, other than Andre Estime, he was my favorite running back because he's a power.
I thought for sure he was going to the Chargers. I would have bet so much money on that one, just going back to Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, but they were able to swipe in and get him. I think that's a great fit for that offense too. You can get some, he's a solid pass catcher, but he also gives you that ability to go between the tackles, which, it's not, it's something that's very important when establishing the run. And then, just their top four picks, Cameron Kitchens from Miami, a very underrated safety. I think he's somebody that you're going to be able to slot in there. And, you know, I don't think necessarily could be like the leader of the secondary, but he's somebody that at the very least is going to be a quality piece in the next 5-10 years to come. So I think it's definitely a dub.
Yeah, wasn't this the first time the Rams have actually had a first round pick in like a decade or something?
Yeah, and they
I wonder why.
definitely yeah, and they definitely didn't waste their time. Like they made a great pick. So
Yeah, I agree with that one. George, you got any thoughts on the Rams, man?
Yeah, man, I feel like they're up and coming again. You know, like a few years ago, they were worried if Matthew Stafford was gonna be their franchise quarterback, like they traded for when the year that they won the Super Bowl, and now that they're just getting up to par again. Cooper Cup is coming back fully healthy. You got Puka Nakua, who was outstanding
Ball,
offensive player or rookie offensive player of the year,
ball for sure.
and they're getting back in the swing of things. But yes,
Yep.
just like Brandon alluded to, you lose probably the best player in the NFL on your defensive line. It's really going to take a toll. But I think they'll jump back from it. I think they'll sign more players. They'll probably trade for some more players. Sean McVay is a terrific head coach, so he knows how to put some schemes and some schematics out there for his players. They took a step back when Matthew Stafford got injured and he had the Tommy John surgery and all that. But now it looks like they're coming up again. It's just that when you got the Niners in the same division as you better hope that the NFC is weak like it was last year. So you and the Seahawks get into the playoffs like you did this year.
Yeah, and so I kind of think that you can kind of loop the last two teams almost into the same, statement. So you got the Seattle Seahawks and the forgive me, you was just with me, Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals, excuse me. But I think both teams are going to be vastly improved this year. I think with bringing in the new OC for the Seahawks. He came from the college game. He came from the University of Washington, and you're going to start throwing the ball a little bit more. And what he requires is an accurate quarterback, in which Geno Smith is one of the all-time accurate quarterbacks in the league. So that's going to bring back DK Metcalf back in the fold. I think it was time for Pete Carroll to go. I was surprised when that actually finally did happen, but it did make sense. It was just the old guard needed to go. And so I think that them bringing back in a defensive-minded head coach and a good offensive coach, I think the Seahawks will be vastly improved. And let's not forget too, their first round, they have JSN out there who they never really utilized well at all. Kenneth Walker is still great out there, and you got Zach Charbonnet. So they have a lot of offensive weapons, and Tyler Lockett, although maybe a little bit older, still an amazing athlete out there. So I think that Seahawks have made the right moves in the offseason as far as coaching wise to make them go back to a combination of a little bit of air raid and Legion of Boom again.
Yep. Yep.
And then you go to the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler was out pretty much all last year, but those boys played hard for Gannon, the coach. Now that Kyler's back, they just drafted arguably one of maybe the most hyped up wide receivers and rookie wide receivers. I can't remember the last time that meant to me people has been talking about a rookie wide receiver this much in Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he is the real deal. And his father was obviously an Indianapolis Colts, my favorite team. His father was a legend, and his dad has already kind of gave him his flowers and be like, this kid is better than I ever was. So he comes in professional. Let's not forget James Conner is still there. And I love the running back they drafted in Trey Benson as well. I think Trey Benson was one of the best running backs coming out, and for that to be your backup, and that's a smart move because let's face it, James Conner, the style he plays, never makes it through a season. So to have a quality backup, TBD if it works out, but I really think that Trey Benson's going to be the future. You got Trey McBride in there too. So Arizona and Seattle both have made some interesting moves to make this division way, way different than it was last year, I think.
Well, and hopping on to Arizona as well, like, you mentioned Trey McBride, but you also forgot to mention Tip Raymond, though, too, from Illinois, like 6'6", 270 plus pounds at tight end. He's going to be a big body to throw to, and he's one of the best, probably the best blocking tight end in the draft. Like, you can see a lot of 2 tight end sets, possibly 4. Kyler Murray, like you said, you got Marvin Harrison, Darius Robinson on the defensive side as well, like a building block for the trenches. And then even Seattle though too, like they were able to get Byron Murphy, probably the best interior defensive lineman in this draft.
Yep.
Christian Hayes, an underrated guard from UConn. Those are a couple of those are some moves that definitely Seattle and Arizona needed to make.
Foundational moves. They're very good
Exactly.
foundational moves.
Yeah, and are they moves that are necessarily going to move the needle and say that, oh yeah, this team is definitely going to make the playoffs, or this team is a lock for postseason, or they're a lock for the division? Not necessarily, but like you said, they're for the future, and I think that that's something that some teams are just in the middle of that right now, and you got to take those moves. You got to be happy
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah, I feel like for me, both teams have made some great additions, and they drafted really well. And when it comes to the quarterbacks, they're really on the up and coming. Obviously, Kyler Murray, he was out last year with the knee injury and all that, but I feel like he's gonna bounce back. He's gonna come back healthy. And then Geno Smith, he took a leap, forward and actually have become a way better quarterback. But my thing with both teams is how the coaching is gonna go, because
Yeah.
now both of them got new head coaches. If correct me if I'm wrong, but they both got new head coaches and probably a brand
Gannon
new.
was there last year. Arizona's was there last year. He got it was the same time Steichens left. Steichens and Gannon were both the defensive and offensive coordinator for Philly. They both Steichens went to Indianapolis and Gannon went to Arizona. So he's second year, but still.
But was that mid year, or was that in the beginning during the offseason?
No, it was at the beginning of the year. They went in with new coaches.
Okay. Because I remember the guy from, I think it was.
But you'd almost
Oklahoma.
would think he was rookie year because Kyler was out. Like Arizona, especially, they didn't have that. And then Seattle did get a new head coach. It's his first year coming in. It was Mike McDonald from Michael McDonald from Baltimore, the DC.
Okay, but even then, right? You got Kyler Murray playing with a new head coach for him because he was injured. So now there's going to be new schematics that they got to go over, new game plans, new chemistry that they got to get in touch with, and all that. And a lot of people don't really think that matters, but it fucking matters. Like those key little details really matter when it comes to football, and especially professional football. Like, dude, like if someone's not on the same page, if one of the players messes up the play, the whole play gets messed up. So it's like that's the only thing that I have with the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals is how the coaching is really going to dictate how they play this year.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would think that Arizona is maybe 1 year away, but I would not be surprised if they are competing maybe for that second spot in the NFC West. I think that Arizona is going to be highly better. Highly better. That's really bad English there, but I think that you get what I'm saying here. It's a sports show. Don't judge me, okay? But anyways, I think
we're having fun here. We're having fun.
Vastly improved, and I also think the Seahawks are gonna be a lot better. So like we did for the last of the AFC West. What do you guys think? I'm going with the champs begin. The San Francisco 49ers going to take this.
Me too.
Same. Yeah, San.
Yeah, exactly. Now I do think this division is going to be a hell of a division to watch. I think it's going to be a lot more fun than it was last year. Because I definitely think that Seattle and Arizona are much improved, and the LA Rams, you can't forget about them. With McVay and the boys out there, you can't oversleep on those guys.
The Rams play the first Sunday Night Football against the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford will be going back to Ford Field.
Man, we only got about 6 weeks left to the first preseason game in. I am jonesing for this stuff.
Man, they need to take off preseason, man. Bro, dude, like, I don't draft my fantasy draft, like the league that I commission, until the Wednesday before the first game of the NFL season. Because so many people get injured in the preseason, man. And it's just like, dude, like, if anything, okay, do not let starters play in preseason. Yeah. Second team,
I disagree with that aspect.
Second team, practice squads, rookies, man. Because it's just like, you're putting too much risk, man. Too much risk in these injuries, bro. Like, I get the aspect of it. You want them to warm up and this and that. But this is why you got practices. If you watch the HBO Hard Knocks, players say that practices are more intense than preseason games.
Right. I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I think because we have a lot of content to create, and so that is a debate for another day, as they like to say, because we got fantasy coming up, we got OTA's coming up, and I hope that it doesn't happen to anybody, but some injury is going to be coming. So please believe we will be getting back to that conversation, because that is a damn good conversation there, especially going back to the, is NFL getting too soft without taking out the two-a-days and all these different stuff. We got a lot of stuff to talk about with that. We got plenty of time to get to that. I think that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us tonight on our show. Obviously, we're recording on July 3rd. So tomorrow's the 4th of July. So everybody out there, just stay safe. Respect the vets out there. If you notice there's a vet out there and they're having a trouble time with the fireworks, just respect them and be nice out there. They usually keep green lights out there. So shout out to all the vets out there. Shout out to you guys as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you for that for as much. So yeah, we're gonna go and wrap this things up, guys. Be safe out there. If the firework does not go off after a few seconds, don't go check it right away, okay? Or drink some water without you.
Let it be. Don't even go to it.
Let it be. It is not that serious to get blown up by a mortar out there. All right, guys. So let's just use our brains, because otherwise you won't be able to watch more more views from the stands, guys. So appreciate that out there, and we'll get at you guys soon. Take it easy, breezy.
Alrighty, guys. Happy Independence Day. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
America!